Welcome back. South Africa ranks 7th on the Organised Crime Index, with human trafficking, drug trade and cybercrimes among the most prominent offences. The country scored higher than last year in the 2025 Global Organised Crime Index and has the second highest criminality score on the continent. For more, we are joined by Willem Els, who is an ISS, a crime expert. Willem, a very good evening to you. Now, when one listens to the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee into the rot at our SAPS and other law enforcement agencies, can one be too surprised that we have gone up in the ranks in criminality globally?
Good evening to you, Masa. Yeah, I think if we look at that, we also look at our crime statistics that have been going up and up and up. It is just an indication that we are really in trouble when it comes to countering organized crime in not only in the country, but also on the continent. But South Africa is in trouble. We need to up our game. And we are not at a good spot at the moment.
You know, as you're speaking about it going up and up and up and this increase, South Africa scoring higher than last year. And if we're looking at the numbers increasing from 0.25% to 7.43% when it comes to organized crime. And again, scoring second highest on the continent. It seems the problem is only getting worse.
It is, yeah. And if you look at the index, every 2 years they come out with the index. The two indexes that are of importance to us is this global index, but also the Africa Organized Crime Index. And we see there, as you mentioned now, in the recent one in 2023, we were ranked number 3 in Africa, number 7 in the world. But, ranking behind the DRC, that was number 1. And between the DRC and Nigeria, they sort of switched places for the first place. But we see in the global index that was released just now that Nigeria has actually, they've gone down, and South Africa has taken the second spot in Africa, very close to the DRC.
Considering where we're at right now, Willem, and also the ranking from 3 to 2 and also knocking Nigeria out, are we now possibly going to that number 1 spot and even topping the DRC?
Well, it depends. It depends what happens in the near future. As you mentioned, we've got the commissions and the committees ongoing at the moment. We are actually realizing that we are in deep trouble more deep than we anticipated with every day's new revelations. So it all depends on the outcome, on how we're going to manage the outcome of these commissions and also the ad hoc committee. It's up to us. South Africa needs to demonstrate the political will in the first place, and we always speak about that, but that is very much needed now. We're going to need some strong leadership in order to get South Africa out of this trouble.
When these commissions were also established, there were those who were quite cynical, considering the history of commissions in South Africa and very little happening after these commissions. And you're saying that, look, it depends on how we treat and handle what comes out of the ad hoc committee and the commissions as well. If one looks at how we've handled recommendations from past commissions, what path would you say we're on?
Yeah, that's a big question. In the beginning, when they announced the commission, a lot of the rhetoric and also the critique about the route that was taken was the lack of implementation, the lack of action after the previous commissions. So this is what we hope. We saw urgency about the announcement. When the announcement was made, we also saw that one of the mandates of the commission was that they can recommend criminal investigations even ongoing while the commission is sitting. So that will indicate to us, the route that is going to be taken. We don't know. We will have to wait and see what's going to happen. The interim report will be after 3 months, and then hopefully after 6 months we will get the final report. But moving away from the commissions, I think if you look at South Africa as a whole and you look at our crime statistics, but also the criminal cultures that have been established within South Africa, and we're allowed to create a footholding. If you look at your criminal index, you see that the counter for the criminal index is your resilience factor. And we saw that South Africa actually scored quite high in the previous years when it comes to the criminality, and that is where you don't want to be. But we also scored relatively high when it comes to resilience, and that is uncommon because normally when countries have a high criminality factor, the resilience is low. But we saw that in this year, it seems that resilience has stagnated. It did not actually improve, and that is reason for concern for us. So at the end of the day, what we're going to need now is we're going to need to take a good auction of ourselves. We have to sit down and we have to decide as a country where we're going to move forward, because at the present rate we cannot continue on.
And I want us to talk about some of the kinds of crimes that got us ranking higher on that index as well, being extortion and racketeering that have worsened. And it's those kinds of crimes that, according to the report, places us in the higher ranks. Now, as media, lots has been covered when it comes to extortion. I remember on this very channel, on Newzroom Afrika, we had dedicated a whole week just focusing on those crimes of that kind of nature and how they've been normalized. And the report also says that, it comes to that conclusion to say that it's become normalized to a point where many businesses have considered extortion payments as a regular operating expense, for instance. Now, when a crime such as this has become normalized, are we far too gone to even fix this problem?
I think that is a very good question. Just to take one step back, they are looking at 15 indicators, and those are 15 criminal indicators that we're looking at. And we see, as you mentioned, that your extortion racketeering is one that has risen in South Africa quite extraordinary. And we also see the other things that are there: your commercial crimes, your financial crimes, your especially your drug trade, and your human trafficking. And that is something that became really a problem, and also it was aired with the people that were trafficked to Myanmar, but also to Russia. In the recent weeks. So that is a reason for concern. But, one of the things that we need to look at here is something that's the elephant in the room, and that is what they measure. They got the actors that they measure. Who are the criminal actors? And the most prevalent one, the most abrasive one, is your state-embedded actors. And those are the people that are actually facilitating these organized crime syndicates to be operational, to be functioning, and to flourish. And that is your corrupted officials from a political level all the way down to your operations level. And that is where we have to start, and that is where we have to start with our strategy and curb that. If we're not going to do that, we won't stand a chance to ever combat this effectively.
And before I let you go, that is quite an interesting point, Willem, when you're talking about the state-embedded actors, what we're hearing coming out, going back to the ad hoc committee and the Madlango Commission. Now, earlier, while we're having this discussion, you said that there's also a possibility of recommended criminal investigations while the Madlango Commission is taking place. What we have seen are a few officials getting suspended, also including the Minister of Police himself. But we aren't seeing the kinds of investigations that are expedited. We're just hearing a lot of horrors and shock coming out of the Madlango Commission, based off the fact that there could be investigations and a movement when it comes to the cases while the Madlango Commission is taking place. Are you satisfied, and should South Africans be feeling confident that these recommendations will be taken seriously if we're looking at the ability for criminal investigations to be taking place that are seemingly still at snail's pace?
Yeah, I think so. I think all the eyes are on the interim report after 3 months. I think at the moment the commissioners are just overwhelmed, as we are, with all the revelations and the extent of the corruption and also the capture that has taken place. So I think what is going to happen, that's what we anticipate, is that along with the interim report, that there will be some recommendations from the commission in order to initiate criminal proceedings and investigations against certain actors. So at the end of the day, it's early days. Remember, we only have in phase one. In phase one, they are looking at the people who are bringing the charges. Phase two will be the respondents, and all of them will have to have their chance and their time to testify before the recommendations will come out. So I think it's early days, but we hope that by the interim report there will be some movement.
Willem Els, thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time this evening.